my first time actually speaking at the Argen booth, and I'm so proud of just the incredible team that we have here, and it's so great to get to talk to you guys today. And hopefully you can take away a ton of information to bring back to your lab. And in any way that we can partner with you or any way we can help you, we are here. We support the lab 100%. We do not sell to the dentist. We only sell to the lab. We care about you, and we are invested in you. So really happy to be here. We're going to take you on our lean journey and our road to manufacturing success. And I'm going to tell you a lot about kind of what we've been through and how we've gotten to where we are. You know, this is about a 45-minute presentation, so I'll have about 15 minutes at the end for questions. But if you're dying for a question in the middle, don't hold on to it. Just ask me, okay? And if I'm going too fast, you slow me down. I'm going to check in with you every once in a while. I am a New Yorker, so sometimes I talk too fast, but I know how we're in Chicago, so we're going to celebrate that and just slow down a little bit, okay? Sounds good? All righty. So who wants to improve quality and consistency in your lab? Raise your hand, right? Who wants to shorten your turnaround time? Absolutely. Who wants to improve your on-time delivery? Who wants to hold less unnecessary inventory? Absolutely. And who wants to be more profitable? This is not a trick question, right? Well then, if you answered yes to all of those, then lean is absolutely for you, okay? So today's agenda, I'm going to take you through what's lean. I don't know if everybody knows about the term lean. We're going to take you through it, make sure you're up to speed so you can follow the rest of the presentation. Then I'm going to talk to you about how we implemented lean in zirconia disc manufacturing. Then we're going to take it to custom parts so you can see how we do it in our milled zirconia outsourcing center. And then we visited a lab, and we did the whole process within a dental lab as well. So you can make sure that it really applies to you. And I'm going to leave you with 4 takeaways. So when you go back to your lab, take these 4 takeaways. Okay? You in it? In it. All right. So we adopted the lean manufacturing principles. It's really a culture. It's a way of life. It's about creating lean and getting everyone to see waste and remove it. It's about people questioning things that they do and how they do them and acting on facts instead of opinions. And it really requires everybody to work together instead of silos. So that means like your design team and your nesting team and your finishing team, like they've all got to understand the process collectively and work together to make the whole entire process work better, okay? So I'm going to tell you how this all got started. Back in November 2021, we desperately needed to change. So no secret, we were an alloy company for many years. That was all we did, and we did it very, very well. But we really had to transform our company, and we started manufacturing zirconia. We started digital outsourcing, Argen IS, aligners, equipment, and we were doing so many different things, okay? And we were delivering for our customers, but we were really starting to have internal challenges, especially after COVID. It was very challenging for us after COVID. And we really managed to shelter most of those problems from our customers, but that didn't mean that they weren't lying beneath. And if we wanted to continue to scale and continue to be a successful company, we needed to make some changes because we were facing employee burnout. We were facing back orders. Our yield was not as good as it needed to be. We had a ton of work in process sitting. We had large amounts of the incorrect inventory. So we had inventory, but not what people were actually buying. We had non-conforming product. We had different fulfillment centers, and we were hoarding a ton of unused material and equipment. So I just want to be very vulnerable. We were facing all these challenges, and we really had to change things, okay? And so this is all about that transformation and that change, and I'm really proud. Putting this presentation together allowed me to take a step back and just look at the body of work, but we continuously improve. So this is just a starting point and a launch pad for us, because if you're not changing, you're not growing, and this is what lean is all about, continuous improvement. So why did we choose lean? Basically, Lean provided the tool set to allow us to combat the economic factors that we were facing and look at internal waste so that we could improve quality and reduce our costs. I mean, there was no secret, there was a rising cost of goods, there's been inflation, there were challenges with the supply chain after COVID, so all these things were really putting pressure on us. But we've kind of come through it, and heading into 2024, we're looking to pass on these benefits to you, to the lab. We're looking to improve our quality and consistency and have no back orders. We're looking to lower our costs to ensure that we have no 2024 price increases and see where else we can reduce costs. We're delivering our Lean solutions to you, to our labs, and we're trying to help you partner and really understand what we've learned because we want to share that with you. We are continuing to scale and diversify our business offerings, and we're really looking to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. So we're not only making zirconia, but we're milling it so we can really understand some of the challenges that you might be facing. So now let me just teach you a little bit about Lean, and let me know if you have any questions. But Lean is all about waste or excess that has been trimmed or removed from the process. So the goal is actually to strip out waste as much as possible and instead only provide things that add value for the customer as quickly as possible with the fewest number of resources necessary for you to actually meet or exceed your customers' expectations. And it basically adopts this umbrella of continuous improvement, which really helps to engage your employees and get them re-jazzed and refocused on what they're doing. Because if you have happy employees, that will show in the product. The happier they are at doing their job, the better the product will be. It's no secret, we spend a ton of time at work. So we gotta have fun doing what we're doing at every level of every organization and within your lab as well. So where does Lean come from? It comes from the Toyota production system. It was developed in Japan in the automotive industry right when they were building after World War II. And it's become a huge way to manufacture and been adopted across the automotive and aerospace industries. But it also is very applicable for our business and for yours. And we're gonna kind of go through that. Why use Lean? It improves your customer satisfaction, it helps you improve your quality, deliver faster products, save money, improve operator safety, and reduce operator stress. So lots of good things. What are some of the goals? These are the overarching goals. You want to improve your quality, eliminate waste, reduce your lead time, and reduce your total cost, which we've talked a little bit about it, but it's good to hear it and just like really get it, let it all sink in. How does this really work? What it makes you do is it really forces you to look at work a little bit differently. Everything you do in your lab or at Argen can be kind of separated into two buckets. Number one is value added. Is this actually adding value? Is this important to my external customer? Is this important to my doctor? Are they willing to pay for what I'm actually doing? The second bucket is non-value added. That is waste, okay? So that's anything that consumes time, resources, or space, but doesn't help transform your product in any way, and it's not something that the customer wants to pay for. So you really have to start to think about that. So let's go through some types of waste so you can get a kind of an understanding, okay? So we're gonna go through 8 types of waste. The first one is defects. If you have a failure in your lab, does the customer pay for that? No, you have to remake it, right? So anytime you make a product and it's not right the first time or it's incomplete, then you remake it, that is waste. Number 2 is overproduction. You don't have this as much because you're working in custom products, but anytime you're working ahead of time or making product that you don't actually need, that's overproduction and waste. The next one is waiting. Who's ever sat there watching the spinning dial on their computer as their 3 shape was kind of calculating or as their mill box was calculating in their nesting software? That's called latency and that's waste. Any time where you're sitting there waiting for product is waste. Non-utilized talent. So you've got a lot of smart people in your lab. We've got a lot of smart people at Argen. Anytime that you're not asking people at every level questions and they don't have a forum for giving their ideas, you're not using your employee knowledge or creativity. So you not only do you have unhappy people, but you don't have engaged people. And when people, all your people have ideas. So it's about getting those ideas to the surface and acting on those ideas so they feel like they're part of the continuous improvement. The next one is transportation, just moving product. So you might have all your stock room where you're storing all of your product, 3 rooms over from where your manufacturing is. You're transporting product back and forth. Another one is excess inventory. Maybe you have too many of the wrong shade of discs. That can be a scenario where you have carrying costs on product that you don't actually need. That's waste. Another thing is motion. Maybe you're nesting over here, but your mills are 2 rooms down, and you've got to walk back and forth every time you want to put zirconia onto a mill. Okay, that motion is waste. And any extra processing. So anything that you're doing extra on your product that you don't need to do, that the customer doesn't pay for, is considered waste. Okay? Everybody with me? Okay, cool. So the great thing about Lean is it provides all these tools, and each tool is designed to be a countermeasure for waste. So that's all it does. It helps you eliminate that waste. And so here's a bunch of different types of tools, but I'm going to go into just 6 of them, okay? So the first one is the Gemba, okay? And Gemba means go to see. So you'll hear about Gemba walks, but that basically means going to where the action is. So if you're trying to figure out how to make things better, you've got to be on the Gemba, okay? And we're going to talk about Gemba walks, but this is something that you should be doing, okay? The next one is Kaizen, okay? And this is all about good change, okay? You've heard about Kaizen activities, maybe. These are where you bring cross-functional lines together and you figure out how to do good change. Those are Kaizen events. Another thing, which I'm going to go over a ton in this presentation actually, is the value stream map. This is where you actually document every single step of the process. And you take a step back and you look at it with a macro lens rather than trying to solve individual problems. I actually had a lab owner come to me yesterday and they're like, I just sit in my office and all day long people come to me with problems and I'm trying to put out fires. Well, that's going to happen unless you take a proactive approach. You look at all your holistic problems and then you prioritize them, because otherwise it's hard to figure out which one to do first, and it can be very overwhelming. The next one is Kanban, or replenishment. So you want to replenish based on usage. This is the idea of a supermarket. So all of us have been to the supermarket and we go to the cereal aisle and we want to buy Cheerios. It doesn't matter what time of day you go to the supermarket, there's always Cheerios on those shelves because they are doing a Kanban calculation to ensure that they always have Cheerios on the shelf. And there is a calculation that you use, which we're going to go over as well, but that's basically how you ensure that you have the right type of inventory at all times. The next one is Poka yoke, or mistake proofing. If you make the same mistake over and over and over again, you've got to create a Poka yoke that's going to protect you from making that mistake again. So we'll talk about that too, and I'll give you an example. And the last one is one-piece flow. There is a instinct to go to batch processing. Like, you think that things are faster in batch. I mean, I thought things were faster in batch, but turns out things are much faster if you do one-piece flow. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was in the lab, they do their model, they pour their models, okay? And those impressions in their case pans get into the model room, and they do not come out of that model room for at least 3 to 4 hours. That means nobody downstream can do anything on any one of those models until they come out of the model room. Now think about what would have happened is as a model was done, it got out of the room and got them started. That means you're saving 3 hours, right? And what's happening is it doesn't bog down the next operation, right? So the next operation might be scanning, right? So the scanners then get a bunch of case pans in, and they've got to scan. And so then it's stuck at scanning. But if they had gotten, if instead you had processed a model and then it got to scanning just 5 minutes later, and every 5 minutes, a case pan was showing up, and every 5 minutes you were scanning, just think how much faster you could have gotten into design and how much faster you could have gotten it to the next step, okay? So it's a little counterintuitive, but it actually works, and I'm gonna show you a video about that too. Any questions so far? Okay. So this is the basic lean process, and this is the process that we do over and over again, and I'm going to take you through it very slowly. So the first thing is you've got to identify the right team. And when I say identify the right team, I don't mean just your managers, okay? You need to get people at every level. You need to get an associate, people are on the floor, your CDTs. You need to really think strategically, and ideally you get people from every different part of your lab, not just one part, but you want to have the people who are, maybe delivering the cases. You might want somebody who's entering the cases into the lab management system. You want your CDT who's sitting at the end and staining and glazing, and then you want your nesters and your designers. So you've got to think cross-functionally. Then you build something called the value stream map, which is what I told you about, which is that step-by-step process, and you actually document what happens at every step in the process. Now, I've been to a lot of labs, but I go in, I say hi, I maybe spend like an hour or two with the lab owner, and then I leave. I actually spent 3 days in a lab, and I watched them step by step by step by step. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure the last time that you guys have done that. And it's so eye-opening to actually watch step by step by step. And that's what we did. You document the process. The next thing is you sit down and brainstorm ideas, because you're gonna have walked, the next step is walking the Gemba. You're gonna go down, you're gonna walk the Gemba, and then you're gonna brainstorm on ideas. And it's gonna be amazing how many ideas everybody has. And sometimes they're just gonna say the ideas that you've had forever, but now they're great ideas because it's their ideas instead of your ideas, and then they're bought in. So that's really huge. Then you plot your ideas on a PACE diagram, which basically looks at benefit versus how hard it is to implement. And everything goes into either the priority, act upon, consider, or eliminate quadrant. And once you're there, it becomes very clear what you should be working on. So we're going to look at that in a minute. Once you've done that, you prioritize your projects, and you'll see that your yield starts to improve, your back orders disappear, and your complaints really plummet. Okay, I'm going to show you one more lean tool, and that's 5S. And this is probably one of the most popular lean tools. When you think of lean, you think of 5S, which is sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. And then at Argen, we've added 2 more, safety and security, okay? And there's no secret, a cleaner lab, better product. Cleaner Argen, better product. So I really, really advise you guys to do this. And we're gonna play a little game, and I'll show you kind of what I'm saying. So let's play a 5S game. Who can identify which numbers are missing? All right, now I'm gonna look at this. Which numbers are missing? Which are easier to find? The more organized your lab is, the better you will be. The more organized you are at your workbench, the better you will be. So this is a good reminder to get yourself organized, okay? So Gemba walks and organization are 2 things I would start with, okay? And anybody can do that, okay? So bottom line, the results are renewed excitement around manufacturing, really engaged employees, whether you're a lead or an associate or a supervisor or a manager, you're in it. People start to ask for more training, and they're interested in helping the company get better. What's better than that? Plus, your customers are happier because you've got reduced back orders, more discipline on the manufacturing floor, better SOPs and work instructions, better quality, and visible metrics and KPIs, which you're looking at on the Gemba, okay? So let me take you on the journey. I talked about this journey. I'm gonna take you way back to 2021 when we started this. So kick up your heels, let's look at this. And as I said, we're starting in Zirconia discs. And I know you guys are not making zirconia discs, but it's a good way to start. So hold on to your seats, okay? So the first thing is I started reading some lean books. I really drank the Kool-Aid. We were looking for a VP of manufacturing at the time, and we had this guy come in who interviewed, and he wasn't really that nice, but he left me with a book, and he left me with the goal, and he was sort of a smart aleck, and he was like, yeah, you go read this book, okay? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this book. And I read the book over the weekend, and I came back, and I was like, first of all, it blew my mind. But second of all, I wrote him a whole update on what I thought of the book and et cetera, and I think he was a little bit taken aback, but it was super helpful for me, and you never know when something's gonna spark your interest. But The Goal is a book it's a business book. It's basically part of any MBA program that you take right now. They have you read The Goal. And it basically takes all the lean principles, but puts it in a story, okay? So you live in the mind of this manufacturing plant. And then I read The Gold Mine, and then I read Lean Simplified, and I started getting going. And this really started getting my brain turning. So I was hooked. But I had read books, and I didn't actually know what I was doing. So I needed to get ourselves a lean expert. And we hired this guy named Jerry Wright from Lean Right, and he came in and he helped us. And so that was really instrumental for me as well. And the first thing he did is he helped us train the team, okay? We needed to get everybody trained. We couldn't talk about lean or do lean without knowing what we were doing. So we did a lean one-day training, and then we learned about Gemba walks, A3s, and we did that in about a half day. And then we started in Zirconia, and we did this 3-day value stream map pilot, okay? So we started in Zirconia discs. Here is Anton in front of the furnaces, really excited. He's like, we need more furnaces, Julie. I'm like, no, we don't. We need to do lean. So that's what happened, actually. We didn't buy any more furnaces, and we just got lean. So here is our first team. This was our Zirconia value stream map pilot team. And you will notice that we had people from quality there, we had people from supply chain there, we had people from accounting, we had people from the manufacturing floor, we had people from our IT team. We kind of brought everybody together because, as I said, you need an eclectic team. You don't just want manufacturing people. Then we walked the Gemba. We went around and we watched every step of the process, and we documented it in this value stream map. You can see at the top. That's our value stream map for making zirconia, and we documented step by step. We also did a spaghetti map. This is an actual bird's eye layout of Argen, and these lines are the lines that we actually had to move and transport to make a disc. Turns out we were walking over a mile to make our discs. Can you imagine you're walking a mile to make a disc? Like, we really needed to improve this. But this was eye-opening. So I really urge you to take out a map and just measure how far people are walking to get from one step of the process out the other door, okay? We then brainstormed ideas. We broke into groups. Everybody had amazing ideas. We documented them. And then we did this amazing pace diagram. Again, difficulty along the x-axis, impact along the y-axis. And we took all of our ideas, and we had 18 ideas in Zirconia, and we plotted them. And we really focused on the items that fell in the prioritize and act upon area. Those are where we start. Because what you find is it's sometimes really tempting to do the high impact, really difficult item, because you want to just knock it out of the park. But it takes you forever to do it, and so you don't get any momentum, and then you end up just falling off. Why not do the high impact things that are super easy? And you start doing that low hanging fruit, everybody starts to feel the success, and they're hooked. They're in, and they're doing it, and they feel proud. So it was a really big thing. Not only that, but it starts to impact for your customers right away. And turns out you didn't even have to do the hard thing. The hard thing wasn't worth it because you made so much progress on the easy things. The hard thing didn't have the ROI that you thought it had up front, okay? And then we became a team. We ordered t-shirts for everybody because at Argen, nothing's official until you have a t-shirt. So we had our lean team t-shirts, and everybody was super excited. But we came up, I want to kind of show you some of the top 5 things we came up with, okay? And I'll go through these. We did a lot of things. As I said, we had 18 items, but I'm going to go through 5. The first is these Gemba walks. So we make zirconia discs 24 hours a day, okay? And we have 3 shifts, and we do these walks 3 times a day, and they take 15 minutes, okay? So it's 45 minutes in total for the entire day. And it's run by the leads of each of the different areas. And every single lead and manufacturing associate knows their numbers. They know their KPIs. They know their targets. And when everybody cares, it makes a huge difference, okay? So these are our Gemba boards, and everybody's reporting out progress. And it also helps with shift transition from one shift to the next. And it's been amazing. And it forces, and on these Gemba walks, again, it's all functional lines. It's supply chain, it's quality, it's manufacturing, it's facilities. Maybe a machine is down and it needs to get back up right away. We kind of bring everybody together all at once, and it only takes 15 minutes. And you're like, well, I don't have 15 minutes. But turns out, like, I had 100 other meetings that then got canceled because it was distilled down into 15 minutes. And it makes a huge difference. The next thing is poka-yoke. I talked about this. This is error proofing. We realized that our highest failure rate was yield for chipping. Okay, we had this issue where our discs were absolutely perfect, but they had tiny little chips on the edges. And it was an aesthetic problem. There was nothing wrong with the actual disc, but who wants to open up a beautiful box of zirconia and find it's chipped on the edges? Like, nobody wants that. So we had to poka-yoke the process. And the biggest thing we realized is we were transporting our discs on metal carts in stacks. And turns out zirconia doesn't like metal. And it doesn't like to be pushed around on wheels. Like, when it's chitter-chattering against each other, it just starts to chip. And so what we did is we built these zirconia carriers, and we started treating our zirconia like eggs. And our yield skyrocketed. It just went up tremendously. And this was like a no-brainer for us. So now, everywhere you go in zirconia, we have our product in these carriers. The next big change that we did was Kanban. I talked about this. This is the Cheerios. This is when I'm in the supermarket and I always make sure there's Cheerios on the shelves. We developed Kanban, or supermarkets, okay? And we actually have 3 Kanbans, and it's a pull system, okay? So we have our finished goods supermarkets. We took all those disparate fulfillment centers and we brought them to a single finished goods supermarket. We then pull from our component supermarket, which is our white disc before it's been printed, and then that pulls from the powder supermarket, which is the powder in the raw state. And setting up this pull system really changed everything, okay? And with that, we came up with Kanban levels, where we started to think and optimize on our inventory. Because we were making a lot of zirconia, but we were making the zirconia that people weren't buying. Like, there is no excuse for not having an HTML A2 on your shelf. And so we needed to make more A2 than we made OM1, right? And so we needed to do those calculations. And we used a calculation that's standard in the lean industry of 90 days average sales times your lead time for making the product times 1.5 safety stock. And you're going to see that again. But that's what we did. We also took all of our SKUs, because we have the most diverse zirconia product out of everybody. We offer every single size in all the Vita shades. So we've got a lot of different SKUs. And we categorize them into runners, repeaters, stragglers, and then made to order. And by reanalyzing how we made zirconia, we have had no back orders. And it's been incredible, and it really just took some planning. The last thing is one-piece flow. I talked about this, and I told you the instinct is batch. You think you want to do things in batches, it's faster, but it's not. And I'm going to show you a little video. Hopefully this works. I might have to exit out of the presentation. I think I do, so I'm going to exit out for a second. I'm going to show you this video. hopefully. So I'm going to expand it. But the top is batch processing, and the bottom is single piece flow. Now, the single piece flow is so fast that I'm going to have to replay this video. But basically what happens in the first situation is the top is the batch processing, and the product doesn't get from the first operator to the second operator until the whole first batch is complete, okay? The bottom shows one piece flow. As soon as the first process is finished, it gets passed to the next process. It was so fast that you really didn't even see it. So if you're doing one piece flow, it would have taken 4 minutes. If you do 5 pieces, it takes 8 minutes. So that kind of shows you your lead time. This is down here versus 21 minutes and 30 minutes, okay? So let's just play this again. Can you see how much faster it is to do one piece flow? So it's basically done, and they haven't even finished the first process, okay? All right, I'm going to go back to my presentation. Hopefully now I've lost my spot, but you know what? We're going to get there in a second. Okay, so here we go. So what have we done? Oh, hold on. Shh. There we go. So here we are. I told you we started at the end of 2021. We really kicked off in 2022, but it's 2024. And out of those 18 projects, we have accomplished 14 projects. And it has made a world of difference. And you can see all the check marks. And this is what has helped make our Zirconia so incredible. And I know it's incredible because we use this Zirconia in every single one of our manufacturing centers. We manufacture in the UK, we manufacture in Canada and Germany and the United States, and they're all lights out using our Zirconia. And they are very hyper-focused on fractures and waste. And we use this product all day long, and we believe that our product is superior, okay? And we know that because we use it. And there are not a lot of other Zirconia manufacturers who can say that they're actually using the product as well, okay? So how does lean translate to custom products? Because you guys are making custom products. You're like, okay, that's great. Those are stock products. That's on the shelf. But I'm making a custom product, all right? And we have the added challenge that we only have 24 hours to make our custom product. And so we're going to look at milled zirconia. So we just took it off the shelf, and now we're going to actually use it, okay? And so this was our next stop on our lean journey. We went to milled zirconia, and what did we do? How did we start? We did the same thing over and over again. It was just a rinse and repeat. The first thing we did was we built our team. And again, we did the same thing. We took our facilities team and our supply chain team and our manufacturing team, and we brought them all together, okay? And here was our team. Then we walked the Gemba. There are no surprises here in this presentation. It's the exact same thing I just did in Zirconia, right? So we walked the Gemba. We checked everything out. We mapped it on the value stream map. We documented step by step every single thing that people were doing. And when a computer was slow, we timed how slow. And when they had to walk really far to get something, we measured how many steps it took. We measured everything, okay? From there, we broke into groups, and everybody had awesome ideas, so we brainstormed those ideas. And then we mapped them, again, on the PACE diagram, right? Prioritize, act upon, consider, eliminate, PACE diagram. And we picked everything that was in this green quadrant, and we started here. And you can see we had some high impact things that were not difficult at all. So the first thing was small batch movement, right? So we mill discs, we don't mill blocks. So we had to maybe do like 5 or 6 units on a disc and then move it. But we really worked hard to make sure we were doing things in as small a batch process as possible. So we outlined our improvements. I kind of took those items in the quadrant, and these are the 4 things that I'm going to cover today, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I did in Zirconia discs. So Gemba walks, I'm not going to go over it again because it's basically the same thing. We did these same Gemba walks, okay? We have a little bit of a different Gemba board for custom products. I'm going to share it with you at the end. And if you're interested in using this Gemba board in your lab, email me after the presentation, and I'm happy to send you an Excel file so you can print it out and have it in your lab, okay? The next two things, Kanban and optimizing inventory, I'm going to show you, and I'm actually going to show you a video so you can get on the manufacturing floor and you kind of see what's happening. And then we're going to talk about auto nesting, which is really fun. So let's see if I can get this to work. Okay. Hi, I'm Julie Wolf, COO here at Argen. And today I'm going to take you through a highly efficient inventory management system that we've developed for milling called Nitro Z. As you know, milling is a subtractive technique, which means that once you start milling out cases, it's very hard to manage your inventory of partials. On top of that, nesters are making critical decisions. Should you use a partial disc or a full disc? At Argen, we mill so many units per day, we had an added complexity. And that was that we had a really hard time saving our jobs in Millbox. So nesters were physically holding up disks to the computer to better understand the unused real estate. As a result, our nesters were driving down our consumption on each disk, and we were doing around 13 to 14 units per disk, which definitely leaves room for improvement. When you hear the words lean manufacturing, you often think of the aerospace or automobile industries. But lean manufacturing is all about eliminating waste. And there are a number of tools and processes designed to help you eliminate waste in time and materials. Because of the issues we're facing in milling, we decided to apply those principles. And we have developed a proprietary system for custom milling called Nitro Z. The first step in implementing our Nitro Z inventory management system was to reconfigure our disks in inventory. And we employed two key tools for lean manufacturing. Number one, supermarket or Kanban. And number two, the pull system rather than the push system. This is our disk supermarket. And the key is to ensure you always have the correct number of disks on hand. And we used a very simple calculation. Let's call this our stockroom supermarket. Then we established a second supermarket on the manufacturing floor. This supermarket pulls from the stockroom supermarket. Let's call this our manufacturing floor supermarket. The manufacturing floor supermarket is made up of both partial and full disks. Let's take a look here. Here in slot 3, we have a partial. And then in slot 1, we have a full. As disks are pulled, Nitro Z keeps track of the inventory, and each day it provides a report to our inventory clerks on which disks need to be replenished. Now here's the real magic. Through an integration between Nitro Z inventory management and Millbox, the nesters know exactly what inventory is available directly in Millbox. They also have quick access to all prior jobs done in Millbox, which makes it very easy to use partials. These integrations help reduce waste by number one, optimizing the nesting process, and number two, improving disk utilization. When a case comes in, a nester pulls down like files from our inbound network and sets up a run job. Let's say you need to mill an A3 pre-shaded case. The nester selects the job in Millbox, navigates to A3, and through our real-time integration, the nester is presented with a complete list of exactly what disks are available and what % of the disk is consumed. This allows them to select the most applicable disk for their job. Once the partial disk is selected, the units are automatically placed on the disk and are ready for the nester to make minor adjustments. The nester sticks the inventory barcode to the run traveler. They are done, and on to the next nesting job. The disk operator then comes to the manufacturing floor supermarket with the run traveler. They pick up a barcode scanner and they scan the barcode. And the disk is in D341. So let me go to slot D34, position 1, and select the disk. Voila! We are now ready to mill. Once the mill job is complete, the disk is removed from the mill, and the units are then removed from the disk.
We have 14 units that we've milled out here, and we still have a partial. The disc is then checked back into the supermarket until it's 100% utilized, and the cycle is complete. Thanks to Nitro Z, our nesters are more efficient, our partial disc inventory is way down, our inventory usage has gone up, our stockouts are at 0%, and our disc mix-ups are non-existent. The Nitro Z lean manufacturing process has delivered incredible results, and we're really excited for what the future holds and how we can bring this to you and your lab.
Thank you. All right, so this is this awesome system that we have, and we're working to figure out how to bring it to you. But the amazing thing about this system is it paves the way for auto nesting. Once all your inventory is actually in Millbox, there's an opportunity for the entire nesting job to be automated. There's no reason why Millbox can't just nest all the units for you. So all you have to do is actually pick the disc off the shelf, find the right machine and put it on there and send the job there. And that's really what auto nesting is all about. We're actually going live with this next week. We're starting to pilot it in our own milled zirconia. And basically what's gonna happen is an operator is gonna just click a button to have a milling run auto nested. It's gonna identify a disc, and all the operator needs to do is scan the run sheet, grab the disc, and put it on a mill. So this is huge. Now you're kind of all thinking like, is this for me? I mean, I would say the biggest thing that's different about zirconia now is that everything used to be white, okay? And so it was easier to manage your inventory because all the discs were white, and it was easier to use. You would just nest the whole disc, right? And then you would color afterwards. Now we have pre-shaded, we have multi-layer. So your list of discs is just stacked to the brim. And how do you make sure that you're always optimizing your usage? You're leaving that up to a nester. And that's really challenging. And so this kind of blows that out of the water, and it's done through science and math, and it's so much more effective, okay? Any questions? All right, so what have we accomplished? Let's look at this. Out of the 10 projects, we've done 5, and we're really excited about it. It's gonna be really huge. Yes? Oh, we do. Where's our question?
Have an idea of expanding this into other, like it's a barcode system, but I would think you could sell it as something else in an inventory system, not just for zirconia pucks.
Yeah, so we actually are using it. I'm only really showcasing zirconia today here, but we actually are using it in our PMMA, we're using it in our wax, we're using it in our cobalt chrome, we're using it in our milled gold. We think it can be used for everything subtractive, and we've got this barcode technology, and once we've got subtractive going, we're going straight to printing. Okay, because all of this can be done on the resin side as well. So absolutely, and it tracks the lot and it keeps all your traceability in order, which is super critical, and it really documents everything. And you know, we have an ERP system, but ideally all this data is actually being housed in your lab management system. So all of this is going to come together, and so what we like to do at Argen is we test out on ourselves first. Like, we like to be the guinea pigs. We like to pilot on ourselves, and only after it's working do we bring it to you, okay? So that you can have a little bit more of a mature system, because it's hard to test out stuff when you guys are running your regular manufacturing. So we want to take some of that burden off and make sure that it works, so that when we come to you, it's really impactful. And that's what this is all about, is starting this conversation, like getting you involved, getting you thinking about lean and thinking about some of the change that we can do in this industry together. So everybody's like, wow, how come you didn't do this before? And the reality is we had actually tried lean before. Lean's been around for a long time. We tried it before, but we often got so absorbed in just trying to get product out the door that we would kind of let it slip. We wouldn't have time to work on improvement. We were just pushing and not thinking. So at this point, the time was right, the company was ready, and we had the right team in place. And it's all about the team, because it's easy to slip back into old habits. So you got to get the momentum going. So let's look at what happened when we went to a lab. I promised you I'd tell you what it's like when you get to a lab. So we went to go see Apex Robertson up in Lompoc, and they were awesome. They hosted us for 3 days. I spent time in this lab for 3 days. And at first I arrived and they kind of were a little suspicious and they're like, what's she doing here? Why is she asking me all these questions? But you know what happened? They ended up loving it because they had these passionate technicians who were so excited that somebody was listening to them, and they got to showcase what they do every day. And it's pretty awesome. And the more they got to tell the story, the more they had ideas running in their head, and they started to be part of that movement. So it's really super fun. So here is our team. Here's the Robertson team. And you can see we got the same thing. They got people from everywhere. They had people from their finishing area. They had their lab admin. They had the people who were entering the cases into their lab management system. They had their quality, their QC checker. They had them all together. And what did we do? We walked the Gemba. We walked and we watched every single step of the process. And we got to know each other. And it was amazing working with this team. And it actually helped to galvanize them as a team too, because they were in it together, okay? And we tried to be as, like, it's hard because you don't want to disrupt the lab, right? So they kept on going and we did it in a non-disruptive way, but we had a lot of fun. And then what did we do? We did this value stream map. We mapped the process. We measured cycle times and the flow of materials. And we did all that, okay? And they also were a little bit shocked that they were walking like 3 kilometers for their analog zirconia, milled zirconia, and 2 kilometers for their digital. So they're walking up and down, they're all over the place also. So it's really interesting when you start to map and track all this stuff. And then they brainstormed their ideas. Everybody had great ideas. And what did they do? They put them on a PACE diagram. They did the same exact process we had done. And they decided they were going to focus on the 5 things in the prioritized bucket. These were high impact items, not super difficult, and they wanted to focus there, okay? And so what did they come up with? These 5 items, okay? And these are in process, so I don't have pictures to show you because we just went to Lompoc about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But the first thing that they came up with is that they had to bring their critical PCs up to date. They had so much latency. They were watching that spinning dial nonstop. And a lot of their computers were like 8 or 10 years old and it just couldn't handle the processing. So the first thing they had to do is they had to update a bunch of their computers. The next thing they had is they had a lab management system, but they weren't standardized in how they were adding doctors' preferences. So every single step of the process, somebody was thoroughly reading the lab prescription, the prescription. And that takes up a lot of time. Is the doctor paying for you to reread and read and reread their preferences? No, you got to make that super standardized, and they realized that. The next thing that they realized is they wanted to partner with us for milled zirconia, and they came up with this on their own, but they realized that they really didn't want to be inventorying stuff that was not used in high volume. So they wanted to maybe do their A2s, but the stuff that was lower volume, they didn't want to hold that inventory, so they wanted to outsource that. And so it really helped them to look at that hybrid approach, okay? And they also felt like they weren't adding value in milling. Where they added the most value was at the beginning of the process because they knew their doctor really well and they knew their preferences. And at the end of the process, they were such beautiful craftsmen. The CDTs sat there and they did this beautiful staining and glazing and they did such a great job, and that's what set them apart. But milling was more commoditized. It was something that anybody could do. So they really started to take at heart that whole value added versus non-value added thought, okay? The next thing they talked about was batch sizes, which I know I've talked to you about. Again, everything was in that model room for 4 or 5 hours. So getting out of the big batches was a big thing. And the last thing was maximizing 3Shape Automate. There was an opportunity for them to reduce time by using 3Shape Automate because they could get their designs in just under 90 seconds. So they wanted to try to maximize it, specifically on posterior single units. So this was this is one of the things they looked at. And so this was their list. And they had so much fun. So here's the group at the end. I just had such an amazing time with them. Here's a really great quote from Jody, who's their lab admin. And she said, "From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for sharing your time and experience with us. I woke up this morning with new ideas swimming around in my head, and I can't wait to get started on implementing some of the solutions that we discovered together." So that makes you feel amazing to have your people engaged, having fun, and interested in what they're doing. So it was a really amazing experience. And we really believe that Lean provides an invaluable toolkit for our labs. We're manufacturers, all of us, we think it's invaluable. And we want to set ourselves, Argen wants to set ourselves apart from other manufacturing companies. And we believe taking this consultative approach and providing practical solutions for you sets us apart, okay? And we want to pass on all our knowledge to you so that we can help make this industry better, okay? Anything we learn, we're happy to give to you. If you have questions, you ask them. You email me, I will get back to you, okay? So here are 4 easy ways for you to start this journey. Because you guys are going to leave here, and you're going to go back to your lab, and I want you to think about doing these 4 things. The first thing is read one of these books. Read a half of one of these books, okay? You don't have to read the whole thing. I'm not asking you to sit there and read if you don't want to read, but these are some great books to get you started. Number 2, make sure if you're going to do this change, champion it from the top, okay? It has to happen at every layer, but it absolutely has to happen from the top. It's important that the change is supported by the laboratory owners because it's very easy to reverse or stop. It's very easy to get off track and get refocused on other things. And it's important to change a culture, not just one person or one area. You want to change the whole culture. So ideally, you get the whole lab going this direction. It's okay to pilot area by area. You don't have to do it all at once because it can be very overwhelming, but pick one of your manufacturing lines or one of your lines, okay? We had tried Lean before, but it was never really championed from the top, and I think that's what made the difference this time. The next is start walking the Gemba, okay? By walking the Gemba and getting your people to report on the KPIs, that means that you're not only running the business based on those KPIs, but your team understands and knows those KPIs, okay? Right now, we do so much based on a visual case pan that's sitting up on a shelf. But if they have to write down and track numbers, it just changes their perspective. It also gets employees involved in continuous improvement. It starts to make you spot waste really quickly. They're more involved in day-to-day operations. You're making more informed decisions. Instead of making decisions in a boardroom, you're making them on the floor. And it's going to decrease your lead time. And these are our Gemba boards that we use in custom manufacturing. And the S stands for safety, the Q stands for quality, the D stands for delivery, the I stands for inventory, and the P stands for productivity. And these are the KPIs we are measuring, okay? And it's incredibly helpful. And we also have started, we measure back orders, we have competitions, we do all sorts of things here. And it allows people to get involved. We look at our projects, and it's happening right there on the forum. It's not fancy. It's a whiteboard with like laminated stuff on it with like a whiteboard marker. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's not like you have to have a visualization tool, and it makes a huge difference. And then the last thing is that we hope you continue to partner with us. Our theme this year in Chicago is accelerate your success. Who you work with really matters. And we believe it truly matters who our labs partner with, and we're here to make you more successful. And we believe that together with Lean, we can bring you better products, better technology, software and workflow, and inventory management. We're looking to do that all wrapped up under the Lean methodology. And we can only be successful if we do this together. So there's a commitment from us to help you grow, innovate, and succeed. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Let's change this dental industry together. We believe Lean takes us there. We can help you increase efficiency, quality, speed, and decrease your costs so you can have happy customers. And we believe Lean gets you there. So, thank you.